Bolt your windows. Lock your doors. Check your closets. Look under your bed. And then prepare yourself. For it's another episode of Dark Night of the Podcast. Whoa!
Dark Night of the Podcast, fans, friends, followers. You know it's a good one if Troy's already laughing before we've actually started to record. Troy's sitting here keeping the giggles in, and understandably so, because dare I say, this is going to be a grand return to a very special franchise that I know Troy and myself both hold very near and dear to our hearts. But I wouldn't say that this return is exactly in the format that we wish to see it. This return that we're about to dive into comes in a long line of return titles that we've covered and some that we haven't. We've covered a Return to Oz before. What are some other classic returns that you enjoy? Return to Witch Mountain, right? That's Return to Witch Mountain, right?
Yeah, Return of the Living Dead. I mean,
Return of the Living Dead, which we haven't covered.
We haven't covered it, but it should be on the list. Return to Horror High.
We have covered that one, haven't we? Haven't we covered Return
No,
to
we have
Horror High?
not covered.
Oh my God! No, I love that movie. That's the one with Maureen McCormick, right?
Yeah, and George Clooney. Yeah.
It's so fucking bad. Add that to the list. There's a lot of good returns. There's a lot of bad ones too. But this one makes me not want to ever return again to from which it came. I can't imagine ever creating a follow-up to this series after seeing what I saw, knowing that, did another film come after this? Wasn't there another one after this, or was this the last one?
No, this is the last one. Now there is one. There's a remake now in production being produced by, like, who was it? Keenan Thomas or something. Some odd person you would never connect to the franchise is actually producing it. So that should be interesting. It's a remake of the original, which this one is a direct sequel to the original. I feel like this one definitely ignores part 2 and 3. For sure. It definitely pretends that those never exist, which is a shame because both of those are eons better than this film.
Well, and both of those also suck. I mean, at least from what I remember, I wasn't a fan of any of them aside from the first one. Truthfully, I love the first film in this specific franchise, which we will be announcing very shortly here. Clearly, it's the title that you all saw. I love the first film, but I really don't think any of the ones that followed were anything special. But this one sinks that battleship. Holy shit. Like, thank God there wasn't another entry that followed this, because I don't think I've ever seen a worse follow-up in my life. And I do think, like, that is the time you do a remake, because there's no coming back from this. You better start fresh. And hopefully Keenan Thompson has an idea of what he's doing. I don't know how they're going to tackle this title, though. Noting that it's now 2026. Like, I don't even know how they're going to handle the twist in the original entry here. But folks, I mean, obviously, like, why am I beating around the bush? Like, you all know what the fuck we're covering. Troy, you pick this one. You get to announce it. What shit show are you forcing in our faces this week?
Return to Sleepaway Camp. It just seemed fitting because we have covered the first 3 films in the franchise. I know I covered part 3 with Chris Moore. We had Chris Jennard on when we covered the original. And I actually really enjoyed part 2. I think part 2 is actually a pretty solid slasher film. I mean, tonally, it departs big time from the original film, but there's still something charming and warm and comforting about it. And even though you don't have Felissa Rose back, Pamela Springsteen really gives it her all and creates her own unique vision of Angela. When they announced that they were doing this film, I was a little bit excited because I'm like, okay, there's going to be a direct sequel to the original. They are ignoring parts 2 and 3, which we have to be clear, that was very intentional because the original director, Robert Hiltzik, returned to direct this one. He was not involved with part 2 or 3. So it would make perfect sense that he wanted to ignore those entries. Although I think he does give a little bit of a wink, especially to part two, which I found was interesting because there's a character in Return to Sleepaway Camp named TC. And the other lead counselor in Sleepaway Camp 2 is named TC. And that has to be intentional. That has to be a little wink. Um, but I remember, I mean, the history of this film, Roger. I mean, I don't know if you know much about it. I think it was actually filmed like in 2003. And there was all this, publicity about it on all the major horror sites like Bloody Disgusting and all those Dread Central and shit. And they were posting stills from it and stuff. And then nothing happened. Nothing. Years passed. And it did not actually come out physically until 2008, almost 5 years after it was shot. Now, Robert Hiltzik blames the fact that they had a lot of issues with CGI, the CGI effects, and that's what took it so long to be released. Yes, yes. So when it was finally released, you can imagine. I mean, the Sleepaway Camp fans were lined up and just like, thrilled and excited to put this one on, me included. Me included. I was so excited when I got my hands on this. Oh boy, fucking boy. I don't know how you do something so wrong, like how you ruin, especially being the original director, how you ruin your original vision so just blatantly and drastically. Like this film, I hated it. I hated it with a fucking passion. It's terrible, and we are going to get into all the reasons why. And had you ever seen this before, Roger?
Listen, I have never fucking seen this ever. I love the original film, but it's not one that I ever was like hankering to see the sequels. I liked it as a standalone film. I knew that Angela was replaced with a different actress, and that kind of killed it for me. I don't know. I'm not a fan of flipping out major players. Kind of same thing with like Silence of the Lambs. Like I really kind of checked out after the first one. And so same here when it's such a pivotal aspect of what makes the first movie what it is. Angela and that final moment and associating just the visual of Angela with who she is, changing it for a different actress didn't really work for me. And I think that I had fun watching the second film and covering it, but it takes I mean, from what I remember, it takes a far more comedic approach, right?
Yeah.
And, I'm not a huge fan of comedy, like blended with my slashers. Like, I can appreciate a horror comedy now and then, but it's never what I'm seeking out. And if I'm going into something that is slasher forward, that is slasher first and foremost, I'm significantly more anticipate and am more excited for the horror elements than any humor that's going to get thrown at me. And so I think that's what turned me off to the second entry in the series. Though it was fun, it's just not what I wanted out of it. And so I think for this, like, I would anticipate that if you're going to bring the original team and the original Angela back, would you want to shed that? Would you want to go back true to form of what made the original film what it was? Which it certainly had like humor and bantering amongst the campers. It had an element of comedy to it in the sense of natural humor that you would anticipate between these characters, but it never was like over the top funny. It was again, it was a slasher first and foremost. For this to lean into the humor and the absurdity of it all as much as it does was jarring. It was shocking for me. And especially with one of the characters and the physical approach they take with that character. I understand that the reveal at the end of the first film was kind of shocking. I understand there are some characters in the first film that feel larger than life. I mean, the ant alone, you know, but none of them ever hit the level of absurdity that certain aspects of this film and specifically certain characters in this film get to. And it's so detached from reality and it's so forced that it really makes for just a really unstable experience. I mean, this film, I can't compare it to anything. I hated it from the moment the credits started. Troy braced me for it. Listeners, to be clear, Troy was like, this is going to be bad. And I was like, bring it on. But this wasn't the kind of bad that I was, oh, ha ha ha, he, this is bad. This is the kind of bad that like made my blood boil. This is the kind of bad that after watching the film, I was angry. And I was really pissed off about like some of the character choices they made in this. I have not seen a film in a long time that has characters as unlikable as Return to Sleepaway Camp. I mean, holy shit, these are some of the worst characters we have ever experienced on Dark Knight of the Podcast. I am baffled that somebody would want to write such unpleasant characters and put them in their movie. What the fuck was going on with this script?
Yeah. This is a very widely maligned movie. Like, I have never run across a person that likes this film. Although I'm very shocked that it has like a 4.4 on IMDb, which is actually insanely high, I think, for this film. But yes, folks, we are covering A Return to Sleepaway Camp. If you've never had a chance to see it, because let's be clear, it never got a physical release. I mean, it did. But it hasn't been available for years as a physical release, and it wasn't streaming anywhere. So I'm sure there's a whole sector of people that have really never seen the film, but now it's available for all its glory on Tubi. So if you have not seen Return to Sleepaway Camp, stop, go watch it, come back and join us. Before we dive into the film, Roger, we did it. We did it. We got 69'd. Somebody 69'd us. We got our 69th rating on Apple Podcast, a 5-star rating. I just want to shout out to Manny M716 for telling us and leaving us such a wonderful review about how we wreck his ear holes every week, which we love to do.
69 indeed. And
Yes.
I mean, this is a day of celebration. This is the moment in The Wizard of Oz where all those singing dwarfs come out doing pinwheels. It's a moment of pure celebration at Dark Knight of the Podcast. We are thrilled. This does mean that we officially have to move forward with our weapons review, because we did say that we were waiting until the next review. Well, it's fucking happened. So we're going to do a weapons review for the Patreon out of sheer celebration in this moment. But you know, what can ruin a moment more than a horrible movie? And so the celebration is brief because we are about to subject ourselves to one hell of a bad piece of cinema, if I can even call it that.
It's brief, so if you want to give us some more cheer, somebody be our 70th. We would love you to death. Apple Podcasts, click that little 5-star rating, write us a review if you want. It means the world to us, and it actually helps the show. It's something you can do for free that literally takes seconds, that really helps, because the more 5-star ratings or the more ratings a podcast on Apple Podcast platforms gets, the more likely it is to suggest that podcast to people who are listening to similar podcasts. So that's why it helps. So please do it. Yeah, we're going to get into Return to Sleepaway Camp. They actually had a little bit of a budget to have their own theme song, because the opening credits has that, and it's some of the worst lyrics I've ever fucking heard in my life, and it just keeps repeating, Sleepaway Camp, and you're getting all these newspaper clippings about the previous murders at Camp Arawak. But yeah, I was like, the lyrics are just juvenile and awful, and yeah.
It's all juvenile and awful. It's not just the lyrics, Troy. And the moment the song started, I already knew. I was like, I'm in for a hell of a fucking ride with this one. But that opening song, you know, I normally like, if there's a featured song, I like to serenade our listeners. And I was not touching that shit with a 10-foot pole. But like, what gross teenage boy wrote this song?
Okay.
And what gross teenage boy wrote this script? Because it's gross.
Here's the thing, is the first scene of the film itself is enough to make me want to vomit and turn the movie off. I don't want to see this. I get it. It's like, you know, it's maybe that bro toilet humor. But listen, I don't want to see prepubescent boys in their underwear sprawled out on a bed lighting their farts. That is not funny to me. It's gross, and especially when we get Alan. Now, this character of Alan, we get the introduction of Alan. This is the most baffling character to ever grace the screen, and perhaps the most annoying character ever to grace the screen. I don't know what the fuck they were thinking, because obviously they are trying to paint Alan as being the Angela character in the first film, right? He's bullied. Oh, people are mean to him. He's bullied. He's you know, everyone's picking on him. This fucker deserves to be picked on. This fucker is awful. There is not one likable thing about this fucking character. There's not one moment where I feel fucking sorry for this character. throughout the whole film, I want to take a fucking baseball bat and beat the shit out of this guy. And it just baffles me that this is who they thought was, this is our new protagonist. Feel sorry for him.
I have so much to unpack already, and I just need a moment. Okay, first, I hate nothing more in this world than toilet humor. I fucking hate it. And my partner's not allowed to fart in front of me. I am prim and proper. I'm a lady through and through, but it's not my cup of tea. And okay, whatever, fine. But like to the extent that they subject us in the first 5 minutes of this film with not just disgusting fart jokes, but over and over relentlessly. And it's also like you mentioned prepubescent boys. And I have an issue with this also. There are several moments in this film that feel strangely homoerotic, involving groups of guys with their shirts off in their underwear. But whereas in most horror movies, it's guys who are like 21 to 26. I don't know. These guys look 12. Like these individuals look like children. And it's just the first visual you see is three young boys in their underwear ripping ass over and over, lighting their farts. And I'm like, there's just something about this that just feels gross. Not just gross like the farts are gross, just gross, unpleasant, skeezy, sleazy in a way I don't want it to be. Like it is just uncomfortable. And then you introduce this fucking Alan and Troy. Oh, you if he's ever at a convention, you're gonna have to hold me back. I mean, like I am so mad that I was forced to watch this individual for a period of an hour and a half make a fucking fool out of himself. Like, this character is so exaggerated in every sense of the word. He is miserable around everybody. He's just bitching and complaining, and not just that, he's also being mean to people. And so in return, they bully him relentlessly. And yes, the bullying gets out of control, but I have never seen a character who deserves it more and instigates it. Like half the time, he is instigating it. And I think it's pretty obvious, like, and based off things they say, but just in the way the character's played, like, they're trying to depict him as special needs or having something wrong, but it's done in a way that's just so unappealing and offensive that it just, again, it comes off gross. It comes off detestable, down to the fact that his clothing is always dirty. They talk about how he smells. He's a simpleton. He doesn't process things people say. It's just it's a horribly written character, and I was anticipating, like, maybe this is the first victim. Maybe this is the kill. Maybe this individual dying is what sets off the next series of events. No. This character is really, like, the lead of the film, and to make this guy the focus of the story is it's shooting this film right in the heart. There is no way this film could have possibly survived. There is no way this film could have been remotely good when you are focusing your story around this fucking asshole. And it's the things he does, it's the things he says, it's how he responds, it's his comebacks, it's how he looks, it's just everything about him, his performance. It's not just that he's like bad at playing the character. Every single aspect of what makes this character what it is awful. There is not a single redeeming quality, as you said. There's not one thing, there's not one moment, there's not one decision he makes. There's nothing about him that makes me second guess my utter hatred for him. I cannot really even put into words how much I hate this character. So please, listeners, understand that I am entering this review with an element of rage after spending an amount of time watching this character on screen. I am genuinely angry, and I will carry that anger with me till my dying day. That is how much I fucking hate Alan. I want to see him harpooned off a cliff. Like, I hate him so much. I have flames at the side of my face. You know the rest. That's how I feel, Troy. So thank you for ruining my life, because I will never stop thinking about this fucking asshole, all because of you, Troy. You brought this into my life.
Well, hey, I will say though, I will share you a little side note here. It has to do with the Alan. I really think that the actor who played Alan like stalked my Instagram a couple years back because there used to be those like 30-day horror challenges, right? And so every day there was a different theme, and one of the themes was you're the most annoying character in a horror movie. And I posted Alan, and this random account commented and attacked me. And then whenever anybody else that would come in and agree that Alan was the worst character ever, this person would pop up and attack them. And this carried on for a course of like 3 years. Anytime anybody would respond, this person would. So it's still up there, guys. I'm not trying to promote my Instagram, but if you go to my Instagram, Troy ESC, and you scroll through and you find that post, it's going to be a couple years ago, so it's down towards the bottom. I swear to God, the actor who played Alan stalked my Instagram and was mad because I pointed him out as the most annoying character of all time. God forbid he listen to this fucking episode, because dude, you are the most fucking annoying character of all time. And there's a reason why you're not in any more films after this. So the second
Troy's got claws tonight, fuckers. Woo! Let's make it clear, though, we love Felissa. She deserved better than this.
Oh,
we love
honey.
Felissa. I'm going to say it right now.
Did she, come on, Roger. Did she not know when she was filming this, like what nonsense this was, especially with what they do to her character? Like,
oh my God.
We'll talk about that. We need to get through that. We need to actually get to the film. Okay, so Alan, we were introduced to Alan. He jumps on the bed, lights his farts. The kids laugh at him because apparently he has shit stains in his underwear, which is fucking gross again. And he gets really mad. And like, this is the prime example of Alan. He's shitty to everyone. Who is this little kid? Is his name PP? Do they call him PP?
Okay, here's another issue I have. I mean, aside from this poor individual who really, aside from this moment, you barely see him again. But yes, his name is PP, like a private, like the genitalia. I even looked it up. It's spelled P-E-E. But let's take a quick moment. We've got PP, we've got CC. We've got Ronnie, we've got Randy, we've got Ricky, we've got PD. So PD, PP, CC. Who fucking came up with the names for this fucking movie? There's a cast of millions. We've got to really acknowledge that too. Like, you're about to meet a shit ton of people. And I thought, oh God, I'm going to be subjected to watching these underage boys running around getting killed. Well, luckily, you barely see them again, because this film, people come and go like it's fucking Munchkin Land. It's crazy. You meet characters, and then all of a sudden, they're not part of the plot anymore. Characters come in later. What about Jenny? What about that blonde Jenny? Suddenly becomes a major, vital character for the last 10 minutes of the film. I am convinced that certain actors, when they realize exactly what a shit show this was, just quit at different points in the film. They were just quitting. So then they'd be like, okay, bring this girl in. Now she'll be a new character. We'll name her Jenny. And she's going to be Petey, because Petey clearly quit the film halfway through because she's suddenly gone for the grand revelation.
Oh,
so, like,
my God.
it's just baffling. All of it's baffling, but poor fucking Petey. Named after a penis. Like, what the fuck, man? This poor guy.
And there's something obviously not right about him.
That's half the cast. Well, they all look like that.
Because when Alan threatens them by lighting hairspray and like lighting the flame and blowing it, and Pee-Pee is on the bed saying, put it out, put it out, put it out. Suddenly Randy comes in. Now Randy is now here's the issue I have with Randy too. Okay, so Randy comes in, he's all jock bro. He's the counselor. He's an asshole right away to Alan. I mean, this man is physically abusing the campers. Let's put it out there. But did you notice, Roger, that he halfway through the film switches to an Australian accent?
Oh no, he starts with like a British or an Australian accent, and then at certain points it shifts to like a Brooklyn or Jersey accent. It is a bold choice. And I said, who who is this Jason Statham motherfucker coming in? Clearly miscast in this role. A 60-year-old man playing a camp counselor. No, but seriously, this guy, like, he looks so out of place amongst all of these other individuals. And he's playing this guy, like he's playing Randy so fucking aggressive. He feels like he's in a totally different movie. I feel like he was about to break into a major fight sequence or something. It just feels so out of place.
Oh my God. He's immediately aggressive with Alan. And I get it, but he like physically grabs Alan and is like being really mean, and Alan like breaks away from him. And this is the first time Alan says his trademark insult as he's running out the cabin. He says, "Hey, Randy, your ass stinks." The amount of times that line is comes out of this kid's mouth, I'd be fucking rich. I could retire. But then he looks ominously in the camera, because obviously we need to start getting red hair and right away. He looks ominously in the camera. This Randy does, and he's like, "That Alan, he's gonna get his."
I mean, I would feel equally as enraged just being in Alan's presence. I don't blame the guy for hating him, but this child, this simpleton child, like, his comeback for everything is, "Your ass stinks," and it's like, fucker, you shit yourself. You, you clearly, it is clear as day, man, that you smell like a fucking bathhouse restroom. You are just repulsive. Your shirt is covered in shit stains. It's just so gross. They make it intentionally obvious that he is a disgusting individual. And so for his comeback to be, "Your ass stinks," I'd be like, fuck off. Your ass stinks. Like, obviously your ass stinks. He makes me so fucking angry. And then this moment coming up here, just because we're talking about pee being simple. Try that giggle. Oh my God.
I can't with somebody named Pee this poor kid.
I know. There's this moment where
it just makes it worse because of how the kid looks. Like, this poor kid.
He looks like he's an underdeveloped child is the issue, as do just half the cast. But there's this moment where Alan, like, flicks potatoes at Pee, and it does that cut to Pee with like a mound of potatoes on his face. Like, it looks like someone was recreating the potato sequence from Close Encounters of the Third Time on this kid's forehead. And he's like, "Randy, tell Alan to stop it." And I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with all of these people? Like, why is everyone here incompetent and so poorly written?
Yeah, well, it's the next day at the cafeteria or the food hall. You would think, again, maybe Alan's going to be nice. Maybe this was just, no. The first thing he does is flick that big old fucking thing of mashed potatoes on Pee-Pee's glasses. It covers his lenses, and he can't see. He's like, help me, Randy.
Know what we need, Troy, is we need to find the actor that played Pee.
Is he around, dude?
Well, we gotta find him, and we gotta get him on the show, and we gotta ask him about his experience on this film set. Because can you imagine reading the casting, reading like the breakdown of the cast, and seeing that you were cast as a character named Pee? Like, who did he accept that role with excitement, or was he already like, this sounds worrisome? Dude. Yeah, I need to know. I need to know about his experience on this film set.
Pee, if you're out there,
let us know.
Let us know.
Let us know.
We will have.
We'd love to have you. Listeners, buckle up, because I mean, already. Okay.
I don't know if I can continue. Okay.
Let's land this plane.
Okay, so Randy tells Alan to knock it off, and he says, "Alan, if you weren't such a wanker, maybe your brother wouldn't be trying to get with your girlfriend." And we cut across the mess hall. Now, apparently, Alan has a half-brother, a step-brother, named Michael, who is there. And Alan also has a big crush on this girl named, what's her name? Kathy? No. Karen. And I thought, oh, Karen looks nice. You know, she's giving me some Renee Estevez Sleepaway Camp 2 vibes. But, you know, even she ultimately is not that likable of a character. It's like everyone in this film is just miserable. And even the one character that is actually, in essence, likable is a fucking idiot, because I keep asking myself, why are you defending this piece of shit all the time? And that's Petey. Like, Petey's sole role, she's another little counselor. Her sole role in the film is to always protect Alan. She's like, oh, everyone's always picking on him. When you guys going to do something about this? Does she not see what he does to all these? Did she not see him flip mashed potatoes in Pee-Pee's face?
Well, listen, I mean, you got to have a character like Petey. You can't just have it be nothing but an army of individuals who are their sole purpose is to ruin Alan's life as much as he deserves it. Like, there's got to be one individual there that at least is a source of like relief or support for him. But in that aspect, it's completely underutilized. Like, Petey, if she's going to play that role, needed to do more. Literally, all she does is when something happens, Petey comes in and she's like scolding people, giving them like stern looks, and that's it. There's dialogue. She has some conversations with people about how they treat Alan and how it's not acceptable, but she never goes beyond that. She never steps up to the plate. At the end, it really would have made a lot of sense if she was maybe the final girl and came into play with a bigger part, and you really kind of anticipate, like, oh, if you're going to have this one individual step up as the one source of positivity, clearly there's a reason for that. Maybe he has a crush on her. I don't know. There's got to be something. But aside from those brief moments, those brief exchanges she has when she's scolding people, she has no influence on the storyline. There's no impact on the actual story. And the original Sleepaway Camp did have a very big cast, and there were a lot of characters that came and went. But I felt like when it came to the core individuals that motivated the story moving forward, you knew who you were focusing on. This film, you just get lost after a while. I really thought that Petey was going to be a major playing factor here. And the fact that she's not, I feel, is like a really dumb choice. It's like, don't even bother having her. Like, if you don't bother having the character that provides him some sort of comfort, because there's no payoff. There's absolutely no payoff to who she is.
No, and instead some ridiculous like accusation is made later on in the film by Ronnie, which cannot possibly be what he thinks it is, and we will talk about that when we get there. Okay, so now we get camp owner Frank, who gets up and tries to get the campers' attention. They ignore him, so that lesbian has to get everyone's attention. She's like, "Hey, shut up!" And they all like give her their attention. And he introduces a guest speaker, Sheriff Jerry, to to, to talk to him
I
about
can't even get through the name.
to talk
God
to him,
damn it.
to talk to him about the dangers of smoking. So this character talks. What is this thing? Talks with
A larynx machine,
but
or whatever.
I thought. I don't know. I could be wrong, but I thought if you talk with one of those, don't you usually have like a hole in your throat to like put it in? How does it?
I fucking wish this character had a hole in his throat. But no, he's got that goddamn thing that you put up against. It's supposed to, I guess, like stimulate the vocal cords. I don't know. It was such a bad idea putting this into this film because it's so hard to take this character seriously at any point.
Even the kids, like he's trying to talk about how he lost his larynx after smoking for 25 years. And even the kids are being assholes and making fun of him and saying, "Hey, why are you talking like that? Hey, can you sound like Darth Vader?" And he's like, "Oh, maybe next time." And immediately the kids are just horrible. Horrible. Okay. I mean, this is just, we got to put this out there. Like, were you fooled?
Okay, so I mean, obviously I'm a gay man. I grew up around drag queens. I know makeup when I see it. And from the moment I layeth my eyes upon Officer Larry, I knew something was amiss. I don't think I knew how amiss it was, but I knew something was amiss. The stature is weird. Officer Larry is very petite. The back of that wig ain't fooling anybody. The beard, like all of it, it's just very strange. But it was the larynx that really caught my eye, or caught my ear, I guess. I said, there's got to be some reason that this fucker's talking like Ado Marigato, Mr. Roboto. And it just, there's got to be something behind it. So I knew to be suspecting something just because it was so far-fetched. I had a gut feeling that it was going to go that direction. I think I even said to you, I was like, if this ends up being Angela, I am going to be pissed off. And listeners, loeth and fucking beholdeth, it is Angela. Let's just fucking get it out there. This, I think, was one of the most insulting decisions they could have made.
I get what they're trying to do. They have to try to top the original. They
Yeah.
want to bring Angela back. One of the big marketing things, or it wasn't even a marketing thing, but one of the big things they did, if you notice, like when the film was being made and being promoted, Felissa Rose's name wasn't attached anywhere to it. Like this was very much a big secret, quote unquote, that she was coming back. But it is so blatantly obvious that it's her the minute she steps on screen. And there's so many things because of who it is and then what the character does throughout the film that makes zero sense. First of all, if you're talking, you're using that larynx machine thing. Is she not actually vocalizing words? Because you'd still hear her voice. Do you know what I mean? That machine is solely for trying to you don't have a voice. You lost your voice, right? She's saying she lost her larynx. So how is she just like I don't get it. It doesn't make any sense because generally, like I said, generally people that use those things have like a hole in their throat that they put it in and it helps with the vibration. But if she's talking, like if she's actually saying these things, you're still going to hear her voice come out of her mouth. So that doesn't make any sense. There's a lot of things that this character does that make zero sense in the context of who it is and what the big reveal is. And we can start picking them apart, but that's the first one. The second thing is like, why even show up to this camp in a disguise? You know what I mean? Just lurk in the shadows and kill the people, and you don't even have to. It's odd.
Well, and also, since when is Angela a master of disguise in general? Yes, I understand that Angela has been living as a woman, but that's what she grew up knowing. That's what she grew up seeing herself as after a certain point. And so I think that to suddenly bring in all these aspects of like, prosthetics and elaborate costumes and just the absurd details that come into play here, I think Angela is capable of changing how she looks, but I think that this is so over the top. What made it work about the original reveal in the first film was the subtlety and the surprise factor. This is not subtle. This is clearly a petite woman in a prosthetic nose talking into that larynx machine, and it's just like it just it's taking an idea that I think was really gracefully incorporated. Though shocking, it was unexpected in that film, in the original movie. It was the unexpected twist. Here, you see this guy and you automatically expect that something is off. You
Oh, yeah.
automatically suspect that something is weird. And so I think it just clearly doesn't pull off what it's trying to do. But I hear you. I get what they're trying to do with it. I just think it was kind of beating us over the head with what made the original one work as well as it did.
Well, yeah, and I don't think they're as clever as I mean, like I said, it's obvious the second this person comes on screen. I mean, if you didn't guess the reveal, I don't know what to tell you because it is so blatantly obvious. Alan's bitching about wanting something else to eat, and you get this whole confrontation between him and Randy, where Randy like throws the chicken on the floor and then violently like tries to shove the chicken down his throat. And Alan throws it back, and they actually get into a brawl, and Randy shoves his face into his plate, and Ronnie, we get introduced to Ronnie. Now, Ronnie was a counselor in the original film, so he's back. He has to break. I mean, this man has been a counselor his entire life. Good for him for finding a life calling, but he has to break it up. And like Alan's like crying, like everyone's always picking on me. Everyone's always picking on me because I'm different. No, it's because you're a fucking asshole to everybody. And he's like, "Can I go get something to eat and something else to eat?" And Ronnie's like, "Yeah, go for it." And on the way to the kitchen, this Bella trips him, and he responds by calling her a fat piece of shit and dumping her lunch tray all over her.
Isn't there a point where he says, "Hi, fatty fat fat"? Isn't that what he calls her, fatty fat fat?
Oh,
I'm gonna
yeah.
call you that moving forward, fatty fat fat. It's my new nickname for you. Regarding Alan and like how things escalate, there is clearly some misconduct going on here at this summer camp. There is no way you're not going to tell me that any professionally ran establishment, clearly a summer camp that has kids come year after year and after year and deals with kids even when they misbehave. You're not telling me that whoever manages or runs this establishment or runs this summer camp is going to allow a grown ass fucking employee to physically manhandle a special needs boy to the ground and force chicken in his face. There are so many points over the course of this film that people would be fucking fired. There are so many points that kids would be kicked out of the camp without hesitation. And they keep just being like, well, Alan's just obnoxious. Like, "Oh, well, we're just going to talk about it and not do anything about it." And like, no, you fuckers should not be running this camp. You're clearly like incompetent. You're clearly unable to handle children at their worst. So, what business do you have working with them? It's just really shocking how bad things get with Alan. There's no way they would allow that. There's
Yeah,
no
and
way.
I mean, there's a little subtlety conversations about how apparently the owner, Frank, pays all the employees shit. So because he's paying these employees such low wages, guess what? He's stuck with shitty employees. Perfect example. Alan goes into the kitchen and he meets Charlie. Well, Chef Charlie is actually a good guy. It's Isaac Hayes from South Park who plays Chef in South Park. He's in this movie like briefly. I mean, this must have just been they had his day rate. They brought him on because he disappears. He's in it and he leaves. Like he's gone. Alan asks Charlie if he can get something to eat, and Charlie tells him he has to ask Mickey. Now Mickey's the asshole. Now this whole thing absolutely parallels the opening chef scene in the original Sleepaway Camp with Angela going in to try to get something to eat. That big disgusting chef tries to accost her, gets bored. Exactly. It's very clear they were homaging that particular scene because Mickey's an asshole too. Alan's like, oh, I guess I'll get some ice cream. He's like, no, you're getting egg salad or tuna salad. And you better stay out of my fucking freezer. And when Mickey goes into the other room, Alan opens the freezer and takes out an ice cream sandwich. And Mickey comes out and catches him and like yanks him away. And Alan's like, you suck, man. Why can't I have ice cream? Mickey proceeds to like, throw eggs at this child. Like, out this child with eggs. I get it. Fucking obnoxious. He deserves every egg thrown at him. And of course, Alan, because he is who he is, he like grabs a pan, throws it back at Mickey. Mickey responds by hurling more eggs at him. And then Alan picks up that fucking butcher knife and throws it at Mickey, and it literally impales on the wall like an inch next to Mickey's head. Just as, Frank comes in, Ronnie comes in, Petey comes in, and Alan, they're screaming at Alan, what are you doing, Alan? You almost killed him. And Alan runs out and is like, I hate you guys. I hope you all die. And Frank tells Michael, his brother, to run after him and get him and bring him to my office ASAP. Yeah, I feel like Alan would have been kicked out. Like hurling a knife at an employee, probably not something that's going to keep you in the camp. The behavior at this camp is out of control. It's out of control.
Out of control. It's fucking out of control. And what I was saying about Randy completely applies to, is it Mickey? Mikey? It's Mickey, right?
Mickey.
Mickey, yeah, the chef or the chef's assistant.
Yeah.
Fucking unacceptable the way he treats this kid, throwing fucking eggs at him. I don't care how annoying he is from like an employment standpoint, he'd be fired immediately. I will say that I feel like Mickey is one of the better acted characters. If I'm going to give some credit here, while he's on camera, he's not really that bad. He is the first major victim, so he's gone pretty quick. But he's pretty good. He's gross, much like everyone else in this fucking movie, but he's not bad in it. But I will say, as far as homage goes to the original film, I really don't mind what happens here. There's things about it that I don't love, but overall, in a film that's full of failures, I'll say this whole bit coming up with Mickey is not the worst part of the film, in my opinion. It's actually pretty competent. I'm not going to give it too much credit, but it's relatively okay. It's not a bad sequence per se.
No, again, logistically, knowing who the killer is, I'm wondering, would they really have the strength to do all of this, what they do? But we get the scene where Michael does try to get Alan to come back to the camp, and Alan refuses. He's not going back because everyone's picking on him. He picks up a frog. Like frogs are a big thing in this film for Alan. These big old fucking bullfrogs. He picks it up, and Michael's like, what's your fascination with these frogs? And Alan says, oh, they're my friends. They're the only things that are nice to me. And then that Michael proceeds to kick one across the ground, which causes Alan to freak out, of course. And Michael's like, I don't care. You're coming back with me. And Alan's like, no, I'm not. He pushes Michael down and then pulls a knife on him. And there's this whole, oh my God, is he going to stab him? And again, it's trying to paint, like, could Alan be the killer? You know, is this another sort of Angela scenario where our lead protagonist, quote unquote, is the killer? Luckily, Michael pulls the knife away from him and is able to calm him down. But again, they're really trying to paint red herrings here because the very next scene is Mickey in that kitchen cooking fucking French fries in that big old deep fryer. When someone comes up behind him really quickly, grabs his legs and lifts him up so that he is suspended over the air fryer, or not the air fryer, the deep fryer, holding onto the edges, you know, and it's going on and on and on. And poor Mickey screaming about he thinks it's someone playing a trick on him. I'm like, this is pretty. I don't know any other employee that would play this a trick, this dangerous of a trick on you, because this obviously this oil is boiling. Okay, he's screaming bloody murder. He's like, I'm getting tired. Please let me down. Let me down. Suddenly, his hand slips into the grease, and it causes him to let go of the sides, and he does fall in face first into this boiling oil. It's an effective sequence, I will say. When his body falls out, just like the chef in the original, we get to see the face has been burned, and it's not as gory or as effective as the one in the original, the reveal in the original with like the bubble blister still popping on that guy's face. This just looks very much like a smooth, like almost like mannequin face. Like it just boiled all of the like expression off of the face and it's turning red and stuff. You can definitely tell there's some CGI at work. It's not bad.
Yeah.
My problem is knowing who the killer is. Are they really going to be able to lift this man up in the air? Not only that, but when he's dead, do you see how easily the killer puts his body in a trash bag, hurls it over their shoulder, and carries it out to the dumpster? Like, really?
Yeah. No, that's very valid. That's valid for sure. And I noticed that there's definitely a weird layer of CGI work over the face, which the face looks good, but there's just something about it that feels separate, like disconnected from the rest of the visual. And it definitely felt like something digital. I did like the shot of the body going into the trash compactor, hearing the audio. Again, if we're looking for little things that work in a sea of failures, I'll take it. But yeah, there's a lot of things to question about would the killer be capable of doing what they're doing, even in knowing that that killer's identity is technically, if it's Angela, well, technically Angela was born a male and lives as a female, but there's just so much. It's very convoluted. It's hard to kind of piece together what's really reasonable and what's not. I also want to acknowledge, like, we mentioned, and I skimmed by it. I completely forgot this even happened. But Michael, so Michael being the brother of Alan, is another character who feels completely underutilized. Like he's in this moment and he comes back into play in the finale, but there are huge stretches of this film that Michael is not part of at all, that he's not present. Oftentimes he feels like an afterthought. The only time he's there is when he's being hateful towards his half brother. He says they're half brothers, I believe. But other than that, really another character here who, when you look at the relationship between him and Alan, I think you'd expect it to have a lot more impact and a lot more involvement in the overarching storyline. And really, he's not that major of a character. He only comes about when they need him. But really, like he doesn't do a shit ton.
No, and he's a dick. Just like everyone else in the film. He's a giant dick. The way what he does at the end of the film to the frogs definitely has left a bad taste in my mouth. Um, but you do get a scene with Ronnie and Chef going to talk to Frank about firing Mickey because Mickey did not take out the trash like Chef told him to, and you get this again, a little bit of conversation that lets us know that Frank is a tight ass. He's dismissive because Ronnie also mentions the rat problem that Frank hasn't been taken care of. And Frank says, yeah, you can fire Charlie, but I'm not paying anybody else anymore. And that's when like the chef says, well, I guess you get what you pay for, right? We're just gonna have to deal with it. And so I guess they're trying to at least hint at why we have all these shitty people because nobody's going to work for nobody good is going to work for what he's paying. Now we get a rec hall scene. Behind the stage of the rec hall, we get two characters we hadn't seen before. One of them is named Weed, and the other is Stan. And they are in the process of rolling cow manure into a joint so that they can prank someone to smoke it, which is apparently something they do every year they're at the camp. Now, Alan shows up to the rec hall and is immediately an asshole because he steals Pee-Pee's candy. Hasn't Pee-Pee suffered enough?
This poor fucking kid. This poor child. What does that even stand for? What is PP short for? Go on. Continue.
Well, Pee-Pee does like tell him, go bother Karen because everyone knows you like her. So he sees Karen and waves at her. And Karen's like, please don't acknowledge him because I don't want him coming over here. Now, this is when TC, another one of the campers, takes the opportunity, thinking it's funny, to invite Alan to go over there. Alan gleefully goes over, and all of her friends leave her alone with Alan. And he sits next to her and asks, she's immediately like, oh, what's that smell? And he says, well, Mickey threw eggs at me earlier. She's like, you didn't change. You're as gross as he is. And he says, oh, you don't like Mickey either? And she's like, no, well, one day he almost cornered me one day in the pantry. And luckily Ronnie showed up. And this is when Alan says, well, yeah, you're lucky I wasn't there because I would have killed him. Like very ominously. Bella comes up and grabs him by the balls because of what he did to her earlier. And he like, doesn't he throw a soda on her? Is this the point where he dumps that soda all over?
Oh no, that's later. Because Bella, like, I do appreciate that she comes in and she gets sassy. She does get sassy. Like, thank God someone's fucking giving him some shit. Is this where she lifts him by the crotch?
Yeah, she grabs his balls. She's like, Alan, you got some balls for showing up here.
Yeah, superhuman strength. She basically lifts him from the ground, hoists him up by his crotch. It's crazy. And then, of course, Frank steps in and sends Alan back to his cabin. So much animosity. This place is just full of just miserable interactions. Nothing's pleasant. There's no likable chit-chat or banter. Every time you see interactions, people are being horrible to each other.
They are. That's the thing is like, yeah, you're right. There's just no pleasant conversations going on in this film. You know, think about it. At least the original Sleepaway Camp, you had Angela and, oh shit, the boy she liked. The blonde boy she liked. But what the fuck was his name? I know the actor's name. I can't think of the character's name, but you know what I'm talking about. The one they have some really sweet moments throughout the film. There's nothing like that in this film at all. It's just everyone is horrible. And then on the way out, Alan does tell Frank that his ass stinks. But he doesn't leave. He goes behind the stage and he catches Weed and Stan smoking pot. And they ask him if he parties. And he's like, yeah, I party. They give him the manure joint and make him smoke it. Now, smoking manure is obviously going to make anybody sick, probably. So he immediately falls to the ground and he's in front of Stan with his face near his crotch, but he's coughing uncontrollably. It's nothing sexual. But TC and a bunch of the other kids come in and they're like, oh, look it, he's giving Stan a blowjob. Stan, how's it feel? Stan's like, no, it's cool, man. So they start to call Alan blowjob.
This carries through the whole film, by the way. He's called blowjob consistently for the whole film, which I'm here for, honestly.
Well, that Petey comes in. She comes into the rescue, and she gets Alan, and Ronnie comes in and asks what's going on, and Petey's like, well, what do you think's going on? They're picking on Alan again. And Ronnie leads Alan out, and he flicks the guys off before he leaves. Now, it cuts to later that night. Weed and Stan and a group of girls are sitting outside by the waterfront. And Weed throws one of the joints near the gas can. They all reprimand him. The one girl's like, is this Sue? Sue, she's like, are you trying to blow us all up? And you got Evie, this broad Evie passed out because she's either drunk or high. So Sue takes Evie and Stan and they try to get Weed to go, but Weed does not want to go. He refuses. He dozes off in the chair. And we get our first, we get our first camper kill because we had the chef killed earlier, but this is our first camper kill. And it surprises me that it's this Weed character because he's like, wasn't even, I guess they gave Alan a manure joint, but this isn't the worst character that we've seen so far. So it really surprises me that this is the first character to go, because the killer sneaks up, ties him to the chair, proceeds to get a gas can, shove a siphon down his mouth, and pump at least a gallon of gasoline into this poor kid's mouth. I would think this would kill you, but he pulls the siphon out of the mouth, puts a sticker that says drugs are for dummies over Weed's mouth, puts the joint in the mouth, and lights it. And instead of like spitting the joint out or pushing it out of his mouth, he just sits there and it's like, oh no. And all of a sudden you get a CGI explosion of his body, Roger. I don't know how to explain this. His body just bursts into flames because apparently I don't know how this worked, why it caused him to explode like a goddamn watermelon, but he just explodes.
It's an awful fire effect. It's completely detached from reality. This would not happen. He would just burst into flame and then become a fireball for a moment, sure, but this is a comedic Looney Tunes explosion. And you see limbs go flying and everything, but then you see the corpse burning again and it's still intact. It just doesn't make any sense. It's just really poorly executed. And even the setup, kind of funny. Like, okay, like, sure, drugs are for dummies. I get it. I get what you're doing here. But to do something that is so impossible for you to actually achieve a quality result, why would you do it? Why would you even do something like this that's so extreme that you know you can't pull it off? Just simplify it. This is still a smaller production, clearly. Why would you want to have a big, exaggerated digital explosion in a movie like this? It just doesn't fit. I also want to acknowledge Sue. Who the fuck is Sue? Evie. Who the fuck is Evie? Like, these women, these girls never come back. Everybody in this. It's a revolving door of people. I'm pretty sure that the chef, what is it, Charlie from earlier? He's already done for the film. He's already checked out. But did they ever say, like, why? Did they say, oh, he's leaving? Oh, he's going on vacation. Like, it's not ever brought up, right? He just doesn't come back, correct?
Well, no. So who's cooking? Who's cooking for these kids? Because Mickey's dead. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, he's not acknowledged. Again, they had Isaac Hayes for one day. And they're like, okay, so This is what we got. And they're just not going to acknowledge it anymore. You get this actor, bless his heart, the actor that plays Stan, he's trying to act sad about, he's screaming, weed, no.
Oh, he's mourning like a gay lover of 40 years.
Oh my God.
Someone's holding him up against their breast as he's screaming, oh my God, weed. And then there's 3 young boys without shirts on, just standing around, which again is very awkward. This whole scene is very gay coded and not in a way that I want it.
No, but then Ronnie tells Frank, I have a bad feeling about this. Just as Sheriff Jerry comes up and shows him a joint. He's like, I found this near the body. And Frank's like, see, I told you it was drugs. It was drugs. And it's like Ronnie says, no, I think there's more to it. And the sheriff is like, well, what is he talking about? And Frank's like, oh, every time something happens at this camp, he thinks he's back at Camp Arawak. And the sheriff's like, is it that camp where the kid went on a killing spree? Yeah, it sure is. The killer's, last I heard, the killer's still locked up in a sanitarium. And he does say you might want to go check out his cousin Ricky to see if he knows anything about, whether the killer's still in the sanitarium or not. And Frank scolds Ronnie about not wanting to hear anything about Angela anymore. So I'm just so tired of these scenes of just Alan being an asshole, because they're trying to play. The girls are trying to play kickball. Alan runs through their game, kicks the ball, and when the girls yell at him, including Petey's there, he moons them. We literally see his big ass. And
the last thing I need to see.
But this would be enough for this kid to be thrown out of camp, and Petey is still defending
his milky white, doughy ass. Like, it's just repulsive, everything about it. And then he's stomping around, kicking all those balls like a fucking imbecile. He's just belligerent. It's like a 12-year-old bulldog that's trying to go senile. That's how this kid acts.
Well, he goes to Karen, because Karen and Bella and all the some of these other girls are playing croquet, and he starts he interrupts their game and he asks Karen to come to his hideout, and he tells the group that he's not leaving until she says yes. Well, the other girls pressure her to say yes because he's ruining their game. And Bella's like, you better say yes or I'm going to take this melon and shove it up his ass. She agrees. She says she'll go if she can bring a friend. And he says, sure. And she says, okay, I want to bring Marie. This poor oblivious Marie is sitting on the bench. She's like, what? Okay. And Alan's all happy. He's like, oh, good. I like Marie too. And when he's running away, Bella throws that ball at him and he tells Bella, your ass stinks.
Who the fuck is Marie?
I don't know.
Where did she come from?
She's just
this girl. We haven't seen her until just now, and now she's fucking forced into this situation, this poor girl being subjected to this kid. She did not sign up for this.
Well, Alan runs to join the guys who are playing paintball. Large group. It's like every guy in the camp right now is playing paintball. They're wearing masks. They have all their paintball gear. He wants to join the game, so I think he grabs a paintball gun, and he's like stalking through the woods. The scene goes on a little too long for my taste because it's just him wandering through the woods. When all of a sudden, Roger, what the fuck? Some guy in a paintball costume zip lines above him. Like, where did this zip line come from? Gets off in front of him, and then all of a sudden, like 30 guys in paintball costumes encircle Alan, and they proceed to shoot the shit out of him. I mean, he's on the ground, and they're just blasting him away, although it's the same shot of him over and over again, because he's, for as much as these guys shoot him, he's not covered in paint. He has like 3 or 4 splatters on him that they keep showing him, hit him. And he finally gets up, and he's like, I hate you all so bad, and runs away. And they're all like proud of themselves. And I mean, I guess this is a bad thing to do to somebody, but it's paintball. Like, it's a paintball game. You wanted to join the game, Alan. Here you go.
I didn't mind this moment, honestly. Like, if you're going to show how severe the bullying is getting, I guess that's important for how the story culminates. He definitely brings it on himself. He's so fucking obnoxious. But this is pretty severe. Like, he's laying there on his gut as they're all surrounding him, just pummeling him with paintballs. And yeah, it's the closest moment in the film where I came to feeling bad for Alan, because this is like physical abuse. This is beyond just mocking him, taunting him. This is like actually inflicting pain on him. Like, paintballs fucking hurt, and he's getting just pummeled with them. So I thought this was a pretty severe moment in the sense of just seeing how far these kids are pushing him, But overall, I was also very satisfied to see it happen because I hate him so much. So I guess it kind of like balances that out a bit. But yeah, no, I thought it was a pretty good scene. I like the moment of the guy hang gliding in. I was like, oh, there's their budget.
Yeah,
Like, there's the whole budget of the film.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's bad, but like I said, Alan wanted to join he enforces himself into the game. Like, he runs up to the guys like, hey, assholes, I want to play. And so, I mean, there you go. That's the object of paintball is to shoot your opponent, and that's exactly what they did. So, okay, I don't understand this. Please help me explain this. Sheriff Jerry actually shows up to Ricky's work. Do I need to list the reasons this makes zero sense? First of all, why? The character doesn't need to do this. Do you know what I mean? That's my big problem with this. We know the killer. Okay, this sheriff it's Angela, right? She doesn't need to do this. Like, there's no point in doing this. She could go back and tell the counselors, hey, I went and I talked to Rick. The fact that she's risking her whole disguise to show up to Ricky's just to ask him if he's seen Angela, it makes zero sense. And how does Ricky not know that this is not his cousin, that he says he goes and sees every weekend? Like, I get it. They wanted to bring Jonathan Tiersten back. They wanted to bring Ricky back. This was not the way to do it, because this makes absolutely zero fucking sense from a perspective of this character has no purpose into going to see Ricky. Even disguised as a cop, there's no purpose. There's no point. It makes zero sense that this character would do this. So do you see where I'm coming from?
Oh, 110%. Sun kissed Ricky with his platinum blonde hair, first of all. Like, that was unexpected. driving his garbage truck or whatever it is. And obviously, he's there simply because they wanted him to be and nothing more. And yeah, no, it makes no sense. Like, if my cousin came up to me and she was wearing a prosthetic nose and a bad beard and a bad wig, voice, what is that thing called?
I don't even know. A larynx
Voice
machine.
modulator. I don't, whatever the fuck that thing is, robot machine and all. If she showed up, I'd be like, Megan, that's you. That's my cousin's name, Megan. I'm like, Megan, I can see through your bad makeup that you're clearly up to some nonsense. And what is happening here? He buys into it completely. And he doesn't question for a moment that maybe this is his cousin in bad drag. Like, it's just, they have a very brief but to the point conversation about Angela, and especially the fact they are talking about her. Don't you think he paused for a moment and be like, wait, Angela, is that you? And he never bats an eye. He never questions it. And I guess the getup is that good. To me, it's not. To me, I'm not thinking that she's all that convincing dressed up in this officer uniform. But yeah, but like, it just, you're right. It doesn't make sense. She could have easily gone back the next day and just said, oh yeah, I connected with him and he doesn't want to come out, whatever it may be. She's not needing to go do some sleuthing on her own time. The only time the officer is there is to kind of move things in the direction that they want them to go so they can enact their murders. I don't know. Like, they're there, I guess, picking who they're going to kill. But Ricky doesn't need to be part of that. Even like Ricky comes back at the very tail end. And again, it does not feel warranted or merited at all. There's no reason for him to be there. I don't think she'd want to put her cousin in danger. So aside from having like a brief cameo, that's the only purpose this serves. And it does not feel at all satisfying or like it feels like he deserved to be there, you know?
Well, especially with the dialogue. Okay, especially with the dialogue where he tells her that I go and visit Angela every weekend. I'm the only person that goes and visits her. He says that. That's his dialogue. So you're trying to tell me you can't tell this is Angela, but on the other, even more so, obviously they have a relationship still. So why is she trying to drag him into this whole mess? They obviously have a relationship. If he goes to visit her and things like that, they have a relationship. I just don't understand why she makes him come back at the end of the film, why he's even part of this. And in fact, Jonathan Tiersten said he had a miserable time making this film, apparently. I did see that little bit of trivia on IMDb that he hated the experience of making this film. And I can see it. I mean, they dumbed his character down quite a fucking bit if he can't tell this is Angela. But also, he gets mad when the cop refers to Angela as a him. He's like, fuck you. And he storms away. And the sheriff is like, well, I'll get a hold of you if I need any more information. He's like, is that a threat? It's like, no. Okay, do whatever you need to do. This is so unbelievable and just so fucking stupid. I don't know. This pissed me off.
Why did they cut out half of the characters and subplots in this and just put focus on a few key individuals and let them carry the story? If you're going to have Ricky, let him have his own moments and revelations where he realizes that something's going on in order to get him back to the camp, something like that. Cut down the head count of the campers by like 30 and just let these characters have more screen time and develop relationships so they don't all feel just one-dimensional shadows of people. But instead, they just have people come and go, and you barely get their names. I don't know half of the people who are on screen. Linda? What about Linda? Linda's coming up in a minute. Where the fuck does she come from? She's another one. It's like, who the fuck is she? And all of a sudden she has a big kill scene. It's just so weird how they handle this. And Ricky gets the worst of it. And that's a bummer because out of all the characters, aside from Angela, you probably want to come back, it's him. You know, like he deserved a better moment in this film.
Paul. It's Paul. Paul was the love interest of Angela in Sleepaway Camp. It just came to me. Sorry, it was going to bug me, and I want our listeners to know that I'm knowledgeable. It just came to me. Paul. Okay, so Alan is at a spot holding his frogs when Karen and Marie show up, and it's all really awkward. He offers them some soda, like he pulls out of like a like a backpack, and these cups look dirty, and I'm like
a vagrant.
Yeah, I'm not
like
drinking.
A homeless person.
But they take the soda, and they're like, "What's with all these frogs?" And Alan's like, "Oh, they're my friends." And then suddenly Marie, the only thing this girl gets to do the whole film, she screams, and we see this poor writhing skinned frog on the log next to her. Now, how did Alan not know all these things were here? Right? They're all right there in front of them, and we see, and he didn't notice them because she screams. He's like, "What's going on?" Karen sees it, and they like get up and run. And Alan looks, and he sees the skinned frog, and then he looks in front of him, and there's like 12 skinned dead frogs right there. Like, how did he not notice them on the ground this whole time? Because he's screaming, and all of a sudden Michael and this other dude come out of the woods laughing, and they did it. Michael still has the fillet knife, and Alan's like, "Why would you do this?" He's like, "Alan, shut up. It's just frogs." And he charges them. He's like, "I hate you," and they push him down. He gets up. Alan gets up, and he runs after Karen and Marie's, like trying to convince them that he didn't do it. And he goes onto the dock, and this female burly counselor is like, "You got to get off the dock. You're not in a bathing suit." Well, TC and the other guys approach Alan, and they give him a wedgie and rip his underwear off of him and then push him into the lake. I mean, it gets pretty, this is very abusive. Petey has to go in and get him. And of course, Ronnie approaches, and she's like, "Ronnie, when are you going to do something about this? Look what they're doing to poor Alan. They're always doing shit to him, and you never do anything."
Literally, nobody ever does anything. It's just the same cycle of abuse. Alan does something horribly obnoxious, loud and annoying. He whines, he bitches until somebody physically beats on him or throws him in a lake. And then Petey comes waddling in, and she's like, "Oh, stop doing that." And then fucking Ronnie comes in, and he's like, "It's Angela." And then let the cycle start again from scratch. That's all it is. It's like people come in, and they make fun of him, and they harass him until Petey makes a comment, and then suddenly people get distracted, and they move on to the next topic. And it's like, do your fucking job. Do your job. Someone should be getting punished for how they're treating him. If he's that big of a fucking issue, kick him out of the fucking summer camp. Like, where are his parents? Do his parents know that that the child acts like this? Why is he allowed to come to the summer camp if he causes so many problems? It makes no sense.
Well, that night at the rec hall, TC and Mike see Karen, and they ask for her help to play a prank on Alan. She initially is hesitant, but then Alan walks by, and TC's like, "Hey, blowjob," and Alan's like, "Don't call me that," and he goes inside, and Karen agrees to help them play this prank on poor Alan. Frank is getting ready to go out on for a night on a town with this girl. I don't know who she is. Is she one of the counselors? Have we seen her before?
That busty blonde? I think she's the one that was on the dock. I think that's the only other time we see her is when she's going on this date with Frank.
Well, he says bye to Matilda, his cockatoo. We have to keep Matilda is his prize cockatoo. So we
have to talk about Matilda.
But so as he's leaving, Matilda tells him his ass stinks. So let me get this straight. Alan has had enough time to teach this cockatiel or cockatoo. It's a cockatoo. It's the big version to say your ass stinks. That takes a lot of time to be around a bird for it to actually pick up. But Alan is apparently in his spare time, without anybody knowing, has taught this cockatoo to say your ass stinks.
I mean, I love a fucking exotic bird. I love them. And I was thrilled to see Matilda. She really seals the show for me. But it's the voice. It's the human voice. It's very, very obviously not a bird. Like, your ass stinks. Like, it's so fucking exaggerated and absurd. I was really thinking that Matilda was going to get souffled or, I don't know, grilled. And I was horrified, but luckily she makes it.
Well, it's actually insinuating, like you think it's going to happen, but we'll get to that scene. Yeah, I thought so too. I was like, don't go there. You've already killed, because the film already has no qualms killing animals. We saw a dozen skinned frogs already. So I was like, oh shit, Matilda's going to get skewered, but she's our final girl. She makes it out alive. So Alan gets into the line to get food, and there's this girl's named Toby. This ponytailed Melissa Gilbert looking girl that he like grabs
the gal. She's the female version of Pee-Pee.
Oh my God.
It's
She
Toby.
really, He grabs her ponytail. Did you see him put it in her? He puts it in his mouth. He's sitting there with her ponytail strand in his mouth.
And then you never see her again.
And well,
But she's
Bella,
gone after this.
well, I would be too. Hopefully she went home and shampooed her fucking hair. Bella's on the bleachers shooting spitballs at him. And when he notices that it's her doing it, this is when he goes over and he pours the soda all over her. And he's like, "You stop picking on me, you fat pig."
Well, she calls him penis lips.
Well, let's be clear. He has no right calling anybody a fat pig or making fun of anybody's weight himself. So, but Bella, I mean, Bella's kind of like the only recurring character that keeps coming back. And like her whole purpose is to have these physical altercations with Alan. And so Frank comes in. Now Frank, the owner of the camp, is manhandling this child because he grabs him violently. He's like, "What did you do to my bird? You corrupted my Matilda. I'll kick you out of this camp so fast if you go near my bird again." And Alan breaks away. Of course, "Your ass stinks, Frank," and runs outside into Karen, who so innocently, Roger, invites him backstage. She's like, "Me and a couple of the girls are backstage playing Spin the Bottle. You want to come join us?" He's like, yeah, absolutely. So she takes him backstage and it's all dark. And he's like, "What's going on?" And she's like, "Just wait here. I'm going to go get a flashlight." Suddenly he's attacked and his clothes are ripped off of him.
And we get to see all of it.
We get to see all of it because all the kids on the other side of the stage hear the commotion. All of a sudden the lights go out. You get this one kid who miraculously now is a spotlight operator because he's shining the spotlight on the stage. And all of a sudden, Alan comes out on the stage. His hands are tied behind his back. He has is it panties or underwear or something over his face? And he's in his underwear, nothing else. And all of the kids are laughing.
Milky white breasts exposed.
Oh my God. Who comes to the rescue? Petey. She gets him. And everyone's laughing. Ronnie comes out yelling that they need to find out who did this. Poor Karen peeks out and she looks kind of ashamed of herself for helping. Okay, this next scene, Petey apparently has taken Alan to bed. She's sitting in the bed. She's sitting next to his bed, like petting him. She's like, and Ronnie's there. She's like, "Oh, it looks like he finally fell asleep." And then Ronnie is like, "You know what's funny, Petey, is every time Alan has an issue, you're here to rescue him. Who are you, really?" Okay, so let's get this clear. Okay, we just need to make this clear. Petey looks like she's about 18. We're not talking about, this is not some, middle-aged gal. Petey is a teenager. Let's be very clear. Looks like a teenager. There's absolutely no way Petey could be Angela. However, Ronnie is convinced that Petey is Angela. And in fact, aggressively starts accusing her of being Angela and is like, "I'm going to stop you," to the point where Sheriff Jerry has to come in and slam him against the wall and tell him to calm down. I don't, are we to believe that Ronnie's just losing his mind? Because there's no way he could think that the 17-year-old girl is Angela from 25 years ago, who would be a middle-aged, it just makes zero sense.
I definitely think it's implied that Ronnie is having so many triggering flashbacks to what happened that he's starting to get a bit unstable, but it does not give him an excuse to respond the way he does in this moment, especially because Petey's been the only character who has been supportive of Alan or tried to help. She's not causing mischief. There's no reason to suspect her for being problematic or anything red herring like it all. I mean, it wouldn't make sense. Her character is never in the vicinity or never involved with anything that goes wrong. So it just doesn't make sense to pin it on her. There are plenty of other characters in this film who are significantly more likely to be behind what's going on than Petey. And it just also was just such a weird decision to take it this route because, again, I really feel like her characters could be stepping into something of I don't want to say a final girl, but she is the lone positive figure in Alan's life. And to suddenly make her become the red herring, it's like, what the fuck? pick a lane here. Figure out what story you're trying to tell and stop getting so distracted and bogged down by all these weird fucking plot twists and weird developments that really make no sense and don't feel related to anything. It really is just a constant cycle of just him getting abused, people responding over and over and over. And it just is like they could have refined this story and this script so much more. I'm just really shocked at this point in the film where we're at. I'm just shocked at how bad, how sloppy the script has gotten. Another thing, just Karen, because obviously Karen's character is starting to have regrets about how she's treating Alan. She's disgusted with him, but you could tell that she's starting to feel kind of bad. That's a great like plot device. That's a great character tool to let her develop some redeeming traits. Let her become again, maybe the final girl, maybe a hero to a certain extent. But instead, they just decide to have her get 10 times more obnoxious from here on out. All of a sudden, Karen becomes a total fucking bitch and horribly unlikable. And it doesn't feel like any of these decisions make sense. I don't know. It just is such a sloppy, bad script.
I know the script is. I mean, the script is the biggest flaw of this film. You can't have a good film without a good script. I don't know how many revisions this script went through. I know that Robert Hiltzik wrote the script, but come on. So now you get the scene with the boys, and they're getting even more bold because they're right outside the cabin, knowing Ronnie's in there, and they start chanting "blow job, blow job, blow job," and this causes Alan. He's like, "Quit, call me that," and he freaks out. And he actually runs outside. It's like, "Stop, call me that," and he screams bloody murder and angry, and then gives that dead stare to the camera. And then takes off into the woods, and all the boys emerge, and Ronnie's like, "You all are going to be in trouble."
Like even this moment, that's you're talking about this whole bit with the chanting. Is
Yeah.
that what you're talking
Yeah,
about?
yeah, yeah.
I thought it was going to start going into like a supernatural kind of territory. The way this is all structured, they're all standing around the building chanting, and you can't even really hear what they're saying at first. And the way he's responding, it's causing him to freak out. I was like, "What is happening? Why?" And again, why isn't anyone getting punished for what they're doing? Why are the adults just letting these kids surround this house and taunt him? It's so fucking weird. Oh my god, I'm so done with this movie. Jesus.
So Ronnie goes to Frank's house or Frank's cabin to tell him they can't find Alan. Alan ran off into the woods, and Frank's like, "Well, you better keep looking for him. I'm going to make a sandwich. You go out and look for him." So he's like, "Okay, I'll go look for Alan." So he's making a sandwich, and all of a sudden, when he comes out of the kitchen, someone just randomly hits him in the head with a hammer, knocks him out. Now we see this person remove Matilda from her cage. And this is when I thought, "Oh shit, this cockatoo is going to be boiled alive or skewered or something." But no, Matilda's left alone. What ends up happening is they use Matilda's cage to fasten it to Frank's head. And when Frank wakes up, he has that bird cage around his head, and his like neck is bleeding. He's like, "Get this off of me! Get this off of me!" The killer approaches with the burlap sack. We don't know what's in the sack. We see the killer like hit the sack violently and then open the sack and move towards the opening of the cage. And then all of a sudden it goes black, and we just hear Frank screaming, and we hear the gnawing and stuff. I don't know. We do get the aftermath, but it would have been cool to go a little bit more extreme with this scene. We've seen rats used as weapons before. One of my favorite death scenes of all time is from Epitaph, which we covered, where the rat is forced to eat through the woman with the blowtorch. And same kind of concept here, but they don't go. We don't see it. They decide to cut to black, and we just hear him screaming.
I had that exact same note of like if you're going to do a rat kill, like you don't have to show a ton of gore to have it be effective too. Like, like Epitaph, you did see the visual of like the rat coming through the back, I believe.
Yes.
But overall, a lot of what made it work was the acting, was the blonde who was tied up screaming, and the buildup and the agony in her face. And they could have just done something with this. The fact that they cut to black feels really lazy, especially because for all of the flaws and issues I have with the film, there's a few moments in the movie that aren't like the kills are not all awful. There's several kills in this that actually do read pretty well, though some of the gore does read really bad too. Several moments hit, and I just feel like, especially building up with a character like Frank, they could have just gone so much harder. But we are about to hit a stretch here that feels like it does become kill after kill after kill, thank God, because it does manage to find its footing for a very brief period of time. And luckily we get a series of pretty pretty good kills kind of one after another. And so I'll take it. Like I'll take it for a moment the film doesn't completely absolutely suck.
Yeah, the last maybe 15 minutes of the film are basically, you're right, it's kill after kill after kill. So Frank is disposed of. Karen's freaking out in her cabin about how crazy Alan looked when he ran away. And she's like, this is not good. Did you see how crazy he looked? Bill is like, girl, it's fine. I want to go to the rec hall and get some ice cream. Karen doesn't want to go, but all the other girls say, we're not going to go unless you go with us. So she joins them. In his cabin, TC is looking at a nudie magazine when Vinny, I guess Vinny is this guy's name, comes in and asks him to go raid panties with. You want to go raid the girls' panties with me? It's like, no, I can't because Ronnie grounded me for the rest of the summer. And they're like, oh, you really going to listen to that? You're going to be a pussy? And so TC's like, yeah, you're right. He hasn't even checked on me. The minute they step on the porch, Ronnie's like, TC, get your ass back in that cabin. Okay. Now, this next scene goes on for way too long. It's a kill scene. I don't think the payoff is worth how long it takes to get to the like this. I was looking at my watch. And basically it's Randy and Linda. They park. They're going to go into the woods to fornicate, just like what Angela likes. They get to a tree. Randy has to pee. He tells Linda to go back to the Jeep and get the sleeping bags. So she does. And while he's peeing, someone comes up behind him and throws a rope around him, ties him to the tree. And we get this moment where the killer is lowering down fishing wire that's made into a noose. And Randy's like, what are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? And we know based on what he says, because we don't only see it, we see his pants come down and the noose is placed around his penis. Okay, perfect. We don't see anything. All right. And then we see the other end of the line is tied to the Jeep bumper. Okay. And Linda's fuddling through the Jeep trying to find the sleeping bag and stuff like that. And Randy's, who's doing this? He thinks it's Linda. For a long time, he's like, Linda, come on, Linda, untie me. Oh, my pecker, you're pulling on my pecker. And then he's like, Linda, quit it. And Linda hears and she's like, Randy, are you calling me? And he's like, wait, if Linda's over at the Jeep, who's this? And then he thinks it's Alan. It's like, Alan, I'm sorry. Well, Linda hears him mumbling, so she starts walking towards the and I guess she sees the killer. We don't see her see the killer, but she sees something because she drops everything. She's like, shit, he's after me. Who's that? We don't see anything. She runs to the Jeep. She gets into the Jeep, starts to drive away, causing the fishing line to start to tighten. Randy's screaming, stop, stop, stop. There's a couple moments where we think it's going to rip off, but the Jeep gets stuck in some mud and she's trying to get out of it. And he keeps having moments of relaxation because it's going tight and then it goes limp again. Suddenly she slams the fucking Jeep into 4-wheel drive, floors it, takes off. It rips his penis off. She's driving down the road. The killer must have taken some notes from Shredder because the killer has put barbed wire across the road and poor Linda runs into the barbed wire. It wraps around her face. She crashes into a tree. This, again, some interesting things that just takes so long for little payoff because the gore is not there. You see like a brief glimpse of a dildo attached, but it's so quick. Just like it's the payoff is not there for how long this takes.
He's one of the first characters where I'm like, okay, I'm so happy this fucker died. There's not been a ton of kills. I guess it made sense that Frank died. Frank was obnoxious, but he was just great. He feels like he was just kind of a dick. He's a penny pincher, like you were mentioning, but he wasn't like horrible. The chef was pretty bad, Mickey, but this guy, like, we've spent some time with Randy and he is just consistently horrible to Alan, who deserves to be treated poorly, but still, it's just the fact that he as a camp counselor would treat any kid like this, he kind of has it coming. And the build up, you're right. The build up to this goes for way too long. I like that we're getting this setup with the two of them because I like a double kill. But as soon as he gets tied to the tree, it starts to become far-fetched and just absurd because how is this killer pulling this off? The whole thing with the noose, the wire noose, but done from behind him so he can't see who's doing it. How the fuck did that noose get around dude's dick? For me to do that, I would have to be right up in that dick, putting that string around it. Somehow the killer has a very delicate hand and manages just to lace up the dick. And then if you look at this is very elaborate. That's a very long fishing wire. It goes all the way to the Jeep. I don't know how we set that up. How the fuck did we pull that off? Because the Jeep just got there, So you got this whole thing then of her apparently seeing the killer coming. She goes to drive away. I like when he gets stuck in the mud. Like, at least it's starting to build some suspense here for the first time in the film. And then you have the dick get torn off, and you're right. It's very lackluster. Show me a fucking dick. Just do it. You did it in the first one. Just show me a dick. Show me a fucking dick. But yeah, you just see the thing get ripped off, and then you have this whole reveal of her getting her face caught in this barbed wire, and she sees it coming, and she's like, "Oh no!" And then you see the shot of her face like approaching the barbed wire from behind, and I just feel like girl could have ducked fast enough to avoid this. I'm pretty sure even the kind of Jeep they're driving, it's a cut-off top, so I don't even think the Jeep would have gotten damaged. She could have just ducked and missed it. You get a reveal of her face later, and I will say, like, the effect is pretty cool, but, like, I do want to acknowledge you do see both of these individuals later, and neither of them are completely dead.
No.
They're both still breathing and whimpering, and it's okay. So, like, this is a pretty severe injury, but they're gonna make it, I guess. Maybe they'll survive. But I do appreciate that they at least gave us a big sequence. This really was probably the closest to formula of what I would expect from a sleepaway camp film. Getting two horny individuals in the woods and offing them one by one, it feels true to the formula. And so I appreciate for that, but it's not necessarily amazing.
Oh no, it should be amazing. It has all the ingredients to be a really cool kill, a really
Right.
cool double death scene. And for me, it falls really flat. Anyway, so back at his cabin, he's like looking at that Noonie magazine when all of a sudden a sharpened broomstick pops up from a hole in the floor, goes through the magazine. And what does this fucker do? He immediately goes down and looks through the hole. He's like,
Why would you do that?
I don't know. That's another stupid fucking thing. He's looking through the hole. Another guy named Spaz comes in with panties all over his head. He's like, dude, what's going on? TC's like, come look at this. There's a sharpened broomstick that just came through the hole. So like Spaz gets down and looks through the hole. He's like, I don't see anything. And TC puts his head back down and looks through the hole. And what do you think is going to happen? The fucking spear comes through the hole, comes out the back of it's stuck in his eye. And there's that moment where he's moving around the camp room screaming with this thing sticking out of his eye as poor Spaz is like looking on, and he runs into the wall and the sharpened end comes out the back of his skull, and you get that shot of like the Spaz with panties on his head just starts screaming like a little girl. Just, "Ah!"
It's probably the best looking kill in the film.
Yeah.
Truthfully, the visual of it going through the back of his head and everything. But the setup is so stupid. If I was sitting there jacking off to a porn magazine and a spear came through the floor and stabbed through my magazine, I'd fucking run out of the room and call for help. Or I don't know. I certainly wouldn't go looking through that hole, just inviting someone to stab me because clearly they were trying to injure me to begin with. But yeah, like, I mean, he goes right up to the hole and he walks right into it. And of course he's going to get stabbed. But it does look good. It is a fun effect. This effect and then the next one that follows, I will say there's back to back. There's two kills that I think are actually really fun. So I do appreciate that.
Yeah, Ronnie and that female counselor he's with go to Frank's to talk to him. They see Matilda out on the porch saying, your ass stinks. So they go into the cabin and we do get a reveal of Frank. right? He's sitting on the chair. His stomach has been eaten through, and we do get to see inside of his stomach, and the rats are in there eating it. So I guess I appreciate that they do show it, so it doesn't feel so disappointing that it blacked out the screen in the initial part of the kill, but we do get to see the aftermath. Like, you know,
Is something about this digital?
oh
Is
yeah,
there something about
the face.
that's what I
The
thought.
face is definitely digital, like the whole like the bite marks on the face, and even the stomach. You can tell it's
Yeah.
definitely digital or digitally
Yeah.
enhanced.
It is.
But I
This
mean,
is not the kill I was celebrating, by the way.
no.
Bella is the one I
Well,
like.
okay, so I have a problem with Bella's kill. You know, it's
Okay.
fun, but give me a fucking break. There's no way the killer
Right.
took the time to do this. But anyways, Bella,
So elaborate.
she comes back from the rec hall. She has her ice cream. She goes into her room and she sees that somebody has rummaged through her snack box. She's like, God damn motherfuckers always messing with my stuff. She plops down on her bunk. We see that there is the killer like crouched on the rafters above her. And as she's moving around, the sheet falls off of the top bunk to reveal, Roger, probably 300 nails have been pounded through the top bunk. It's a fun kill, but please explain to me when the killer had time to do this.
There's no way that the killer had time to do this, let alone hoist themselves up into the rafter and then launch themselves onto the bed. It's a very elaborate kill. I give them credit, but the fact of the matter is since Bella and the other girls left their cabin, there is no way in hell that the killer even got back to this room to do this. The killer just killed TCCC, whatever the fuck his name is, not PP, but the other one just killed him, killed Frank. I mean, the killer must have 20 arms because they're running around doing all this shit, killing camp counselors out on the road. There's no way that they were able to craft this very elaborate torture device like weapon. But I mean, they pull it off, and it is a very fun effect. Like seeing girl get smashed under this thing and all the blood coming out. I really appreciate the creativity of the kill. And I think in another movie, in another scenario, this could have been 10 times more effective because I would have bought that this could happen. But in this moment, there is no way that they fucking could have pulled this off.
Because you see clearly the top bunk and you see each nail, you see all of the nails, and they're in perfect straight lines. It looks, there's no fucking way. Yeah, and the killer leaps from the rafter onto the top bunk. It falls and, yeah, smashes Bella. And it is fun. Yeah, you see all that, but there is zero way this could have been pulled off.
I want to acknowledge the introduction of Jenny. Jenny's a part of this now. Blonde Jenny.
Yeah.
Never saw her before. And all of a sudden, Jenny and Ronnie, they're the two, I would say, leads at this point, solving shit.
Yeah, well, so Karen and Mike are walking back from the lakefront, and they're approached by a kid who tells them that someone just killed TC. And they're like, oh, quit fucking with us. And he's like, no, they shoved a spear through his head. So Karen's like, oh shit, I gotta go. So she runs back to the cabin and she goes in with Marie. And she's worried because she's like, it's gonna be me next. And she does see Bella's body, the blood, the bunk, and she screams, it's Alan, I told you guys, but you wouldn't believe me, and he's after me. And instead of going to safety or sticking around with friends, this dumb bitch runs into the woods by herself.
Worst fucking decision she could have possibly made. Also, the delivery of that line, it's Alan did this. I warned you guys, but you didn't believe me. Like, all of a sudden, she's like fucking maniacal. She's just shrieking. She's fucking batshit crazy. She runs off into the woods like a crazy woman. Poor fucking Marie doesn't know what to do with herself. But yeah, for her to run into the woods, worst decision ever. And Karen's character just hits the shitter at this point. Like, she's made some bad choices, but from this point forward, she is so fucking obnoxious.
Yeah. Well, Ronnie is going on and on and on about how with Jenny, I guess, about how it has to be Petey. It has to be Petey. Petey's Angela. Well, Sheriff Jerry shows up back in this person also can change costumes and disguises within a matter of seconds, as we'll find out here. But yeah, in one second we see the killer in the basically it's just like a black sweatsuit, right? We never see their face, and then 2 seconds later, back into the sheriff outfit, complete with the prosthetics and everything. It makes zero sense.
It
Sheriff
took
shows
an
up.
hour to put that fucking
Yeah.
face on.
Well,
just to
sheriff
be
shows
clear.
up and reminds him that the killer was actually Peter, and Peter's locked up upstate. And the girls are like, "No, it's Alan. Alan's the killer. Alan's the killer." And Michael's like, "Oh, it has to be Alan. I'm going to go find Karen and put a stop to him." Just then, because we have to get our money's worth of having Jonathan Kirsten back, Ricky shows up. He's like, "Here I am." And the sheriff's like, "What are you doing here?" He's, "Well, you called me. You called me like 20 minutes ago." And the sheriff's like, "No, I haven't talked to you since I saw you." And then he's like, "Well, somebody must want you here. We got to split
So
up."
very loose. This
Yeah.
is very, very loose.
So they split up. The sheriff's like, "I'll go look up camp. You guys go look down camp." So yeah, Karen's just running through the woods willy-nilly. I don't know. I was trying to get geography because how far I thought that Randy and Linda drove a ways away from the camp, but all of a sudden Karen's there. She's only been running for maybe like 2 minutes and she finds Randy tied to the tree and he's still mumbling. And then she, instead of going to help him or to see what's going on, she runs away. And then she sees the Jeep and she's like, can you please help me? She runs up and she sees poor Linda. And she's like, Linda, is that you? And Linda looks at her. And yeah, it's a good effect. The barbed wire is wrapped all around her head and she's all bloody. However, Roger, she's not dead. Does Karen try to help her at all? Does she try to help either?
She just leaves her.
She leaves
She
her.
just runs away.
She screams and runs away. She left 2 people to die.
Well, let's talk about that slow ass fucking reveal shot where she's like, Linda, and then slowly, the slider moves past the back of her head and reveals Linda as she turns thinks. And I'm like, this poor woman is still alive. I would immediately, if I was Karen, I'd be like, let me get in this fucking Jeep, because I'm assuming this Jeep's still gonna fucking work, and let me drive you back and get you some assistance and not be running around in the woods. But instead, she's just running around passing out in front of people.
Oh my God. Yeah. So that's a stupid scene too, but we're not quite there yet because we cut back to Michael, who runs into Ronnie, Ricky, and Jenny, I guess. And he's like, "Have you guys find Alan yet?" And they're like, "No, you need," and he's like, "Fine, I'm going to find him." And Ricky's like, "Who is that?" Ronnie's like, "That's Alan's brother." And Ricky says, "Is he a suspect too, or am I the only one?" And Ronnie goes to say, "No, you're not a suspect." And Ricky's like, "Bullshit. I'm just sticking around to prove you guys wrong." So Karen runs to the woods until the killer the killer steps out in front of her and she just immediately faints. He doesn't touch her, just like steps out in front of her. She drops like a sack of potatoes to the ground.
That's not how humans respond to these things. Nobody would come face to face with someone and just pass out like that. It makes no fucking sense.
Well, she wakes up in the rec hall. There's a rope tied around her neck. The other end is tied to the basketball board. And the killer comes into the rec hall and turns on the board retractor, because the board can lift up if it needs to. And it starts rising and it's lifting her in the air, strangling her. And she's screaming for Alan to stop. She's like, "I'm sorry, Alan. I'm sorry, please." And she actually gets lifted off of the ground. Like for a minute, you think this girl is going to get strangled to death. Michael rushes in just at the right time to be able to shut it off and get her down. But here's the problem. The killer was literally 2 seconds ago in the costume. And I'm talking about the killer costume, the sweatpants and the sweatshirt. Not even 2 seconds after they run out because Michael comes in, does the sheriff come in, back in the sheriff uniform, back with the hat, the glasses, the whole, how is that possible? How did the killer change in a matter of a second?
I mean, I'm guessing that we're supposed to believe that the sheriff's uniform is just underneath this baggy ass hoodie and sweatpants. But honestly, one of my greatest gripes with film is the aesthetic for the killer feels so cheap. Like the aesthetic of the killer just in this sweatsuit, this hoodie and sweatpant combo just doesn't feel at all Sleepaway Camp to me. It's just so stupid. I'd rather just not see the killer. I'd rather just film it in a way that you're not seeing the visual of the killer. Because instead, if you're gonna put a completely different outfit on them, yeah, I don't fucking buy it. I don't. There's no way, even if all the prosthetics are still on under the hoodie, there's all these little details that make the officer, like, have his full getup on. You mentioned the sunglasses, the hat, all these things. There's no way that they could even be lugging all this shit around with them, let alone being able to change as that quick to be able to leave the room and get right back in there. It just doesn't make any sense. You keep saying the script is so bad, but it feels like it's just whoever wrote this just doesn't understand the basic flow of how to make a story make sense.
Mhm.
It's these stupid amateur, very amateur mistakes, and they're glaring at this point.
Oh god, there's so many of them. So Michael gets her untied. Sheriff comes in and comforts Karen. Michael grabs a croquet mallet and says he's going to go take care of Alan. So Alan's at his spot with his frog. Michael comes up to him, and Alan immediately rushes him and hugs him and is like, please make him stop picking on me. Please make him stop picking on me. And he says, Alan, you're bad. You've always been bad. I know what you did to Bella and TC, and I won't let you hurt Karen. And then he hits him in the face with that mallet. And Alan drops to the ground, and he proceeds to beat the shit out of Alan with that mallet. And as he's raising it over and over again, somebody grabs it, and he turns around and it's like shocked look on his face. And then you get Ronnie and Ricky walking through the woods, hear something, and they find Alan bloodied on the ground. Ronnie asks, bends down, like, who did that to you? And Alan's able to point, and he points over to the woods. And then as the girl, Jenny's walking over to where Alan's pointed, we hear the sheriff's voice, the robotic voice saying, they never learn, do they? They have to be so mean all the time. But they didn't know I was here. I've been waiting a long time. And then you see the wig drop. You see the sunglasses drop. And then you see that voice larynx machine drop. And it's revealed that it's Angela. And Ricky has that horrible, horrible line where he's like, Angela, like the worst line delivery I've heard in my life. And Angela says, Michael thought it would be cool to skin frogs, but it's not so much anymore. And you do see like they go over there and they find Michael skinned. And it's a pretty brutal effect. Like this kid is just like, he's still alive. His eyes are darting back and forth. He is skinned. And then Angela starts laughing maniacally, with that look that she's famous for. And then she automatically just like stone cold, her face goes stone cold and no expression. And that's the end of it. But I do like the fact that I do like the effect, but there's really no closure to the film. I'm assuming that Angela gets caught. They send her back to I don't know. I don't know. It just kind of ends with a
Yeah.
kaput.
What was her end game here?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, like, okay, so her end game, I guess, was to come back and find the equivalent of her at this summer camp and get the revenge for this individual because they're going through the kind of torture that she went through. But it's just like, I said again, it's so loose. Like the story is so loose here, and there's more holes in it than Swiss cheese. And I think the thing that sucks is like you've got this big final moment here, and look at like what's culminated. So you've got Michael stepping in as I mean, technically as the antagonist, he's the villain, but he genuinely thinks that Alan has done all these things. So he has good reason to want to defend Karen. And Karen, given that fucking line, get it off of me, get it off of me, get it off of me. Oh my God, I wanted to fucking smack her so bad. I wish they would have just hung her. But so Michael, like really, like Michael has not been a major playing factor. So for him to have this final moment, maybe if they would have explored their brotherly relationship a little bit further, it would have felt a bit more warranted. But now he gets this big final moment here, and it just feels kind of weird because I feel like I really don't know his character at all. But then also, like, you've got Ronnie, which, okay, he's been consistent. But then you've got Jenny, and like, what the fuck is she doing there? I genuinely think, I really honestly think that the actress that played Petey quit and Jenny stepped in because it feels, even though Ronnie and Petey had that argument earlier, Petey is gone for the end of the film, and she has been such a major aspect of this storyline. why would they not include her as part of this finale? But no, instead it's Jenny. And then you've got Ricky who shows up, I guess, just to have him there. And like it's the weirdest culmination of people. And then the officer shows up and drops these different costume pieces and reveals themselves to be Angela. And it's just kind of this like mind-boggling, like, what the fuck moment. Like, what was the end game? Why? Why did you do all this? Why did you go through this big elaborate to do disguising yourself as this police officer? And then we learn here in a moment how they even got the costume. But what was Angela's motivation when she left that hospital? What was she setting out to do? Because right now, I don't buy it. It makes not a lick of sense. And I mean, really, I guess she's just that cuckoo bananas that she's looking to just kill. I guess she just wants to fucking kill, and she wants to kill at a summer camp. That's all she has. That's all the character has to define her at this point, aside from the fact that she's obviously living as a woman born a male. But other than that, she just feels like a caricature of who that character was in the first film. And you mentioned earlier, the first movie had plenty of like tender moments to balance out the levels of absurdity. There's not been a single one throughout this whole film. There's not been a single moment that feels like a genuine, tender human interaction. So by the time we get this absurd reveal, it just feels so over the top that it just downplays any of the humanity that made Angela an interesting character. She feels just like a caricature. She feels kind of like a joke. And especially after that officer reveal, I just can't take it seriously. And that's such a bummer because I can't say that about the first film. The first film has a shocking ending. And in the first time you see it, your jaw's on the floor and you're kind of like, I did not see that coming. This does not hit the same at all. I really feel like this final reveal just feels comedic and unfortunate, and it's just a bummer. Like, it really just it's a shit way to end the film. It was so disappointing because it's so over the top.
Well, the problem is bringing Ricky back could have been so effective. You could have gotten
Yeah,
a tender moment there between the two of them.
yeah.
Like, why is he there? Why did she want him there? There could have been a moment of them having a, what are you doing? Like, can we talk? Something. But they don't even interact with each other, Roger. As Angela and Ricky, they don't even interact with each other. He screams Angela, and that's it. Or at least why isn't he the one that puts an end to her? Why doesn't he do something? Why doesn't he step up and fight? He's just there. He's just there because they needed to bring the actor back. It's just really disappointing. And then talk about not even the same character. There's a there's a post-credit scene, guys. So stick around and watch this post-credit scene. It really irks me because it does show you how Angela kind of came to get this disguise, but here's another thing. She looks nothing like the sheriff. Did his deputies or the people that the sheriff worked with not recognize that this isn't the same person? You know what I mean? We clearly see the sheriff in this post-credit scene. It looks nothing like her in disguise. So wouldn't you think his deputies, or because I doubt he's missing from the department for all this time because his coworkers would be like, "Where's the sheriff?" You know what I mean? It's so fucking stupid. But my problem is you have Angela stranded on the side of the road, flat tire, car lifted in a jack. She's wearing a tiny leather mini skirt, blouse with her breasts exposed. Like, I guess this is not the Angela that we know from the first film. Even like how she's acting all giddy and, oh, my boy. Like, this is not Angela. Like, who is this character? Because it's not Angela. Yes, it's Felissa Rose, but this is not Angela, period. Right? And that's what really left a bad taste in my mouth. Because as to me, the sheriff does get down under the car to look at it for her, and she drops the jack and it crushes his head. But this isn't Angela. Who the fuck is this? This isn't Angela. This is not the character of Angela.
No. I mean, I think that like the whole shtick is like she's trying to play dumb so she can lure the cop, kill the cop, take his uniform. Okay. But it's such an elaborate setup, and without getting any lead up to it, without seeing Angela as herself, it does feel really fucking out of nowhere and just very unnatural. I can buy, if she's putting on a facade, if she's putting on a character so that things go her way, like, okay, but like you never get a moment with Angela feeling authentic and true to herself. And so this just feels very unnecessary, unwarranted. I love seeing Felissa, but I don't think this scene does anything in her favor either. She's just like stomping around, just nonstop, just like bitching about her boyfriend as this cop is yelling back at her. And then there's this great effect when the head erupts. But yeah, just like I mean, what was the setup to this? How did she even get there? How did she know the cop was going to be arriving?
Well,
Like, how did I need to know more? This is so random
well,
that I need to have a better idea of what was her game plan that got her there to begin with, because it just feels so just out of nowhere.
yeah, like, and did she really need here's the thing, did she really need to disguise herself? All of the killing that she did in the first film, she did it as herself discreetly. Like, there's
Right.
no reason why she needed to go through this whole thing and come up with this plan, and where did she find that Larnix machine? Where'd she get that from? There's no reason for her to go through this whole plan when she could have just went to the summer camp, stayed in the shadows, killed people when they were, wandering around or on their own, like she did in the first film, and nobody would have been any the way. It would have been the same outcome. You know what like there's no reason why she had to go through this whole process to get this disguise. And it just seems like I said, it seems like it's just out of place for the Angela that we know from the first film. And that's the problem with this film is like it does not feel like, even though it is supposed to be a direct sequel, this does not feel like a Sleepaway Camp film. And a lot of it has to do with what they did to the character of Angela. Now, you can say the character of Angela changed in part 2 and 3, which she did, different actress, but the character, I think the essence of the character kind of was still the same. Yeah, so it's just this film. It's unfortunate that this film exists, and I mean, I hate to say that about any film. Like I mean, we're both indie filmmakers. We know what it takes to make a film, and I'm sure a lot of effort and hard work was put into this. But this is a you're calling this a sequel to one of the most probably revered cult films of all time, and you treat it this lazily, like with so little care, with so many just blatant flaws that could have been corrected with a couple more script revisions and more input. Like, you disrespected the first film with this film.
Mhm.
Period.
Oh, absolutely. And even for like the character of Alan, like we have been bitching about him the whole time, understandably so, but even the conclusion with what happens to him getting pummeled by his brother and then revealing Angela to be the one that was behind the murders, even if Alan would have gotten to have stepped up and, I don't know, fought back against her or something, it feels the ending finishes too abruptly. I mean, yeah, you get the traditional shot of her laughing maniacally at the camera and then looking dead into the camera was really weird. But I want to know what happened after that. That's where the excitement would start. Where it's revealed it's her. Okay, what do they all fight her? Did someone beat her to the ground and take her into the cops and tell them that she got free and killed people? Like, I want to know like what the conclusion was, and it feels like it cuts off at a really weird point, but they did that purposely to try to make it feel like the original film, but this is not the original film. This needed
Yeah.
more finalization and a better conclusion. I do definitely do not get it here. This was just a tough watch from beginning to end. I have so many issues. I think my biggest glaring issue overall is just the volume of characters that did not need to be there in this story. So much time was wasted giving me unnecessary exposition, random developments, random interactions, random moments of harassment. All of that could have been so significantly consolidated to give this movie more time to tell a better story. This really needed like 5 more drafts. I mean, this feels like a first draft script that he thought he was got a little too big with his britches with that one. And I think that maybe there was a little bit ego at play, thinking that you're better than you are when it comes to writing a script, because this is not it, my friend. This is a very, very difficult movie to get through.
Well, I really hope that this remake, however it can, because like I said, I'm really curious how they can tackle the material of the original in 2026 without getting a lot of shit. But I really do hope that it kind of redeems the franchise, because for this to be the last film of the Sleepaway Camp franchise is really a travesty. But guys, that is Return to Sleepaway Camp. Please feel free to join the bitch session in the comments. and let us know your thoughts on this film. And if there is anyone out there that actually likes this film, I would love to hear from you as well. Like, defend it. You know, we trash this film. I want to hear from maybe somebody who likes the film and maybe explain to us why. So maybe we can see your perspective. But right now, this film will always remain probably one of the worst film experiences I've ever had. Like, I have no desire to watch the film. I knew we had to cover it for the podcast because that's what we do, but I will never touch this film again. So listeners, let us know. And Roger, before we go, you got to let us know, are you giving us a palate cleanser, or did you choose to continue the streak of shitty films with shitty characters? Because yeah, that's what we're getting.
I promise my next choice after this will be one that has a very highly regarded reputation with a good IMDb star rating to boot. But I'll say the one I'm picking actually has a lower star rating than the one we just covered. So
is that possible?
Get ready. It is. It comes in the form of 2006's Candy Stripers, which Troy has never seen. Is that right?
I've never seen it. I feel like it's pretty obscure, so I'm assuming a lot of our listeners have never seen it as well. So Roger sent me the cover, and I do vaguely remember the cover of it, but I've never seen this film. I have no idea what it's about, what to expect. So all I will ask you guys, or all we will ask you, is you know what the title is: Candy Stripers or Strippers?
I think it's Candy Stripers.
Okay,
because a Candy Striper works at a hospital.
Okay, Candy Stripers. So guys, check it out before we drop the episode next week, because I'm definitely nervous but excited to check it out. If it has a lower rating than Return to Sleepaway Camp, that's not very promising. But we shall see.
It's got a 3.4, my friend.
Lord have mercy. Okay.
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Oh my God. I need to go fucking sedate myself after this fucking review. Holy shit. That movie was difficult. But hey, at least we can say we did it.
We did it, guys. Join us next week for Candy Stripers. And in the meantime, leave us a 5-star rating for watching Return to Sleepaway Camp. I think we deserve that much.
God.
And with that, good night.
Good night.